D&D combat that flows. DM pacing part 1. This is interesting. I want to check this out. Talking about like running, definitely running a D&D combat that flows, because I feel like my D&D combat has not been flowing as much. And we'll see what this guy has to say about the whole running D&D combat that flows.
What is the most important skill a DM can have?
Pacing. I disagree.
Why does a 7-minute fight scene in a Michael Bay movie seem to drag out, but the 40 minutes of Helm's Deep will keep you at the edge of your seat?
True.
How did Matt Mercer keep people engaged for 8 hours with Thordak and Ryshan, but most other games sort of crap out?
I haven't gotten to that part yet. I am watching
it's because of the flow.
Listening.
There are tons of blog posts and videos out there about how to better narrate combat.
Okay.
And in my opinion, most of it focuses on the wrong stuff. It'll tell you to write down lists of body parts or how to describe damage types. And while those details are cool, in my opinion, they don't make for an interesting narrative. And if you're watching this video,
they don't make for an interesting narrative. That's true. That's true. You're just kind of like executing people on the spot there. So yeah, I can understand why he might say this might not make for an interesting narrative, because I wonder where he's going.
Probably seen a thread where someone is asking how to keep their combat from dragging.
Yeah.
And the number one reply was probably roll attack and damage dice together. And that is a bad...
I don't like that. I don't like rolling attack and damage dice together. I used to do it, but I don't do it anymore. One, my buddy Jeff, we were playing D&D together, and he was saying... No, I'm sorry, it wasn't Jeff. I'm so sorry. Wow. Fabernator was saying... He likes kind of like there's like a pause. There's kind of like a anticipation when it comes to the dice rolls. But I mean, honestly, I'm gonna take back what I said. There's nothing really wrong with rolling the attack and damage dice together. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with it, fundamentally speaking. Like if you miss, then you just don't have the damage dice.
Bad answer. Not because it doesn't make your combat go faster. It does.
It does.
But because it didn't answer the question.
No, it doesn't.
Your combat
That's
isn't
true.
dragging because it's slow. Your combat is dragging because it lacks
because the wizard takes 50 minutes.
All we cared about was speed.
Flow?
We wouldn't bother with narration.
True.
We just roll the dice. It's not about getting your combat done faster.
True.
It's about getting your combats done better. For RPGs, flow is
do
keeping the action moving across the table.
Okay.
It's the rhythm of building and releasing tension, and learning to smooth transitions to keep momentum.
And I'm agreeing with what he's saying
so far. Mechanical resolution and learning when to leave the rulebook closed. It's about minimizing distraction.
That's very important. I think that's very important, and a lot of people don't know when to keep the rulebook closed. And I think like it's important that he says that, because there's a lot of times where as a DM, there's certain things that will happen, certain things that don't necessarily the rulebook will answer, or if it does answer it, it's not going to give you the answer that best suits the narrative or best suits what needs to happen. And you'll probably get backlash from players. You're probably like, well, that's not how the rule works. That's not sage advice. That's not. And you just calm down, right? Like what really needs to happen, what you really do is it's okay. It's okay to leave the rulebook closed. It's okay to do something like with Little Percent and the giant worm on the first episode of Project Odyssey. She wanted to jump. And she wanted to jump up, claw in to the worm, and basically ride the worm and attack it while she was straddling the worm. And there's not really rules for that. The Dungeon Master Guide does tell you as a DM, yeah, you should allow your players to be able to do those kinds of things. You should be able to, and so you as a DM, just with the rules that you know, make it happen. So yeah, I agree. There should be a time to put the rules down, stuff like that.
And maximizing engagement. And that last part is key. When you are maximally engaged, when you are
I think that's what worries me the most is maximizing engagement, especially for the martial type people.
Present in what you are doing, you lose yourself in that moment and achieve this euphoric state. You're in the zone. And again with this, flow is a Zen thing. through great effort, it will exist with no effort. So, how do we do
Okay.
this? How do we get flow into our combat?
Yeah, that's the question.
All of my advice, all of my thoughts on this, I've packed into one sentence, but it's a whopper. To improve your flow, you need to dramatize transitions by creating exigency, then prompt activity and compress the resolution. Yeah, that's a
So
lot.
that's his thesis statement. Dramatize transitions by creating exigency. I don't even know what that word means. that's beyond me. Then prompt activity and compress the resolution. Okay, so dramatize transitions. That's interesting. So we don't necessarily. He's not saying necessarily dramatize what the person is doing. He's saying dramatize the transition in players' turns by creating exigency. There's EX and then NC, like emergency. That's he like by creating a sense of emergency. Is that the best way to break down that word based on its prefix and suffixes? Dramatize transition by creating a sense of emergency, then prompt activity and compress the resolution. Okay, so then prompt activity. So narrate the transition between players, and then the next person's turn or the NPC's turn, you prompt them as to what they're going to do and compress the resolution. So, and compress the resolution goes back to this sentence, I guess grammatically speaking, which means summarize what has happened.
Then prompt activity and compress the resolution. Yeah, that's a lot to unpack there. I think
Yeah.
most DMs spend their narration time narrating the wrong stuff.
Okay.
They like to narrate the player's turn. You run up towards the orc, you duck under his shield,
Why has it gotta be
bash
an
away
orc?
his sword, you find an opening, you strike with your long sword, a telling blow across his throat, spilling blood everywhere. He falls down dead. Was all that really necessary?
Oh God. Oh fuck. Oh no. That's exactly what I do. Fuck. Oh, shit. All right. This is why we're here. We're here to learn.
I think not. D&D players have incredible imaginations. So
Yeah.
why not let them use it?
Not all of them. Not all of them. My friend Salvador has a horrible imagination. I'm not gonna lie. This is the exception, not the rule. I'm not saying this to be like devil's advocate, but I guess I am saying this to be devil's advocate. But not all of them getting called out over here. Yeah, I'm definitely getting called out. You know when you guys say you feel like you're getting called out whenever I give advice, this is me feeling like I'm getting called out now. I'm learning. There's always room to grow and learn as a DM. I genuinely believe that. I'm always trying to learn and improve. So I think I said this before. I said I feel like my combat hasn't been that great. I feel like I could improve my combat. Not like setting up combat, but I always feel like D&D combat's really slow and can hurt the viewers feel. Like I feel like combat takes too long and I could lose viewership, or the players can get bored sitting there. But I guess I am being devil's advocate when I am saying not every player is very imaginative, but I think they still get the better picture of things. But I do agree with him. The rule is that most D&D players are creative.
I think all you need is a phrase or two, and their imagination will fill in the details. Keeping momentum is way more important.
Less is more. Less is always more. I stand by that as something. Simplicity can get you a long way. I'm a big believer, and I wanted to talk about this a little bit in a future video, but I'm a big believer in that you do not tell everything to your players. Your players shouldn't know absolutely everything about your world, the lore to your world. Even when a player asks a question, you do not need to give them a page-long document answering how magic works in the world. It's okay if you understand it. It's okay if you know the nuances and intricacies of things. But there's okay to leave a little bit of mystery behind. what's going on. There's something about letting the audience, and I say audience on purpose because I believe in this when it comes to writing books, watching movies, TV shows, any source of media. And I think D&D is another form of art that can be used as a source of entertainment. And you are the one-man show. Well, it's not, you and your players are the show, but let's be real. You get what I'm saying. You're the one-man show entertaining the players at the table. So it's okay to let their imagination kind of take over.
Important than your flowery or gory descriptions. And momentum means moving forward, moving to the next player's turn. So this is our first big idea.
So I think I broke down his sentence almost to the T.
Instead of narrating the player's turn, what you should be doing is narrating the transition between turns. Why?
Okay.
Because that's where you set the scene. It's where you plant the seeds of drama. As you narrate the resolution to one player's turn, you set the scene for the next. For example, your sword blow fells the orc. As his body falls across the battlefield, you see an orc chief raising his war axe right in front of Kaylee, her hand on her sword. Kaylee, what are you doing? Do you see how that flows?
Yeah, that makes sense. So, okay, that makes sense. So instead of chopping up the orc into a million pieces, you say, okay, you do one fell swoop. It's gonna be hard for me to break that habit of how you kill things, but you do one fell sweep, and then he talks about how there's an orc in mid attack going to the next player, almost like cutting scenes in a movie. Okay, I like that. I can dig it because now there's a sense of urgency for that player.
The resolution of one player's turn, of one scene, sets up the next. The turns run into each other through your description. Like a camera panning, you describe the scene as you transition attention to another player. This creates a smoothness to your narration and ends the jarring start and stop that wrecks your flow. You can use this to fool or affect.
I like what he said there, a jarring stop. A jarring start and stop, because that's what it is. It seems like it's always like, all right, this is what happened on your turn. Next, this is what this is amazing. This is blowing my mind right now. I've never thought about this before, and I love that he's doing the same thing, because he already planted the seed in my head when he said Helm's Deep. He got me thinking about movies, right? And you guys, for those of you who watch this show, you know how much I love movies and things of that nature. So the fact that now I'm already thinking about this from a film perspective helps me a lot, because that's how I treat my D&D game. That is sick. This might take some practice on my end, but I'm going to try this out. I'm definitely going to go in depth with this and try to push this.
By dropping in the name of a character in the scene setting, depict the interests of a player who might be in danger of losing engagement. When we do our transitions, more than simply narrate, we dramatize.
There's that word.
Your transitions, your scene setting needs exigency. This is your new favorite word.
Okay, I don't even know what it means.
Exigency means it's like urgency plus opportunity. It's that critical moment where if you don't act now.
To be fair, I'm proud of myself right now. I'm very proud of myself for figuring out that word. I had no idea what that word was. I was pretty close. I was pretty spot on, if you ask me. So that's good. Create urgency. Create the idea that your players need to act now. You want to I love doing that. That is one of my favorite things to do to players is making them panic and sweat.
Now the opportunity vanishes. It's something that requires your immediate attention, and if you don't act now, you're gonna miss out. To create the sense of urgency and excitement that your combat should have, you need to end your transitions, which are the start of another player's turn, by pointing out an emergency that needs to be dealt with. The fire leaps to the straw bed right next to you, and you can feel its heat starting to press against your back. A fleeting opportunity to exploit a weakness. As the demon turns to swat your friend, his back is momentarily exposed, giving you the chance to stab at him, or a threat that has to be dealt with. You can see a bugbear.
Okay, so instead of creating, I can dig this. So instead of, oh my gosh. Wow. So this goes back, and I think this is why I've been struggling with combat so much. So this goes back to like what I say all the time with collaborative like story making. I set up the domino pieces for the players to knock them down. You know, like create an opportunity for the players and let the players fill in the blanks and finish the story for you. You're improvising together. Because before what was happening in combat, players would just, what I would do, and I think what a lot of DMs do, is you leave, you let the players roll their dice and tell you what they want to happen, and then you narrate a stop and go kind of story. It's like, okay, what's next for you? What's next for you? And what I would try to always overcompensate to try to make someone sound really cool, when in reality, I should just let them sound really cool. What would be really good is if, oh my gosh, this is so, because this is how I treat RP. I just was never able to figure out how to transition it to combat. Oh, this is brilliant.
On the cliffside, raining javelins down on your companion. You don't know how much longer he can last. Do you see how those create exigency?
Yeah.
Critical moments where the players need to act. And we did it without introducing any additional mechanics.
Right.
Using just our narration, we've created this imperative for immediate action. Now that we have exigency, we can prompt activity.
Okay.
Now, wrap your head around this. In combat, I don't really ask, what do you do? I know, it's like the quintessential DM phrase, but in combat scenarios, I don't find it all that useful. Instead,
interesting,
I ask, what are you doing? It's a subtle but important difference. It's not about their future intent,
present.
It's about their current state,
about
an act in progress. It brings the players into the mindset that they're not afforded the opportunity to ponder what their character would do because they're already doing it. And because you frame the start of their turn with this transition and this exigency.
You set up these, your dialogue, your little phrases can really like push things. And then if you bring out timers, you put a timer in front of them, freak them out even more.
See, they have some information to act on. Asking what are you doing pulls characters into the present. It demands activity. It gets players to understand that things are already happening all around them and their characters are reacting in real time to the situation. It's the same difference between continual and continuous. Continual means it's ongoing, it's stop and go. But continuous means it's non-stop.
Right.
We want our combats to have continuous action.
Yeah, I agree with that.
An important point is that action is what moves the story forward. It gives momentum. And as storytellers and narrating combat, most of our drama is going to come from the action, whether or not the hero lands the telling blow. But because it's a game,
action, okay, and like to kind of like better, this is my way of seeing it, what he's saying right now as well, is whenever action is a way to express emotion where words cannot, and I think that's very important to understand. Actions, how they say actions speak louder than words. What you can put in a fight scene, and you can do this when you're narrating your games as well, but what you can put in combat is something that can't necessarily be expressed in forms of just dialogue, in forms of narration. It's one thing if someone says they're going to rule the world, like, I'm going to take over this city, and with this city I shall rule the world, and this will be the beacon of my new empire, right? You can scream and shout all you want, and the players can be like, yeah, whatever, we're too cool, we're too awesome. But then the second you use that city's resources to blow up a building or to sink a ship or something, or to hurt the players, putting them at half health, your action has now expressed something even more threatening than you could have done just screaming at the players.
We have to have these mechanics, but the mechanics aren't the action,
and
they are the resolutions to the action. The actual action is what is being narrated. It's what
the game. Okay, so what he's saying now is like the game kind of cookie cuts all those things and hurts the flow of that entire story that I just told, right? So instead of like the guy shooting cannons to knock down a building, now he has to wait his turn to shoot down the cannons to knock down a building. And because he has to wait his turn, you ruin the impactful narrative, like emotional effect it could have had at everyone on the table because of the mechanics of the game.
characters are doing in the story. Ideally, we want ludonarrative harmony. We want our mechanics to match up with our narrative as closely as possible. So here's the big idea. We want our moment of highest narrative uncertainty, the moments of highest narrative drama, to be closely paired with the moment of highest mechanical uncertainty. We want our narrative unknown.
It's very important what he's saying here. The key word that he's saying here is uncertainty. And I think I think I'm on the same page as him when he says this, because he's saying you want your biggest narrative uncertainty to go with your biggest mechanical uncertainty, which in this case is always going to be our dice, right? So the biggest narrative uncertainty, what I would love for players to do, and I think this will help my players do this more, I'll tell you in the future whenever I start trying this out with my guinea pigs, is when you tell them, oh, the guy's turned his back and he's to attack your friend, now his whole backside is exposed for your daggers, and then the player goes, okay, I want to take my daggers and I want to thrust them right into his spine and twist the blade. Like, now the players are adding to the narrative. That's something that I would want to do. I want the players to add to the narrative, so they don't know if that's actually going to succeed. So then they roll a dice to see. Don't fall off. They roll a dice to see if that actually works. And when it doesn't work, then you explain the success or failure, but you also put that into another transition that creates another sense of urgency with it. Which is, oh my gosh, I hope this sounds better than it actually. I hope this is as good as it sounds, is what I'm trying to say.
As closely as possible with our mechanical unknown. Let me illustrate. In a typical D&D game, casting a fireball is something like this. You see the evil sorceress swirling her hands, a little red marble appears, then it starts spinning towards you, it hurls through the air, it stops, and then explodes. Go ahead and make a dexterity save. Got 11 plus 3, 4.
Fuck. Dude, this sounds exactly like my fucking combat, man. Oh no, man. Oh, fuck. Oh no.
14. Yes, a 14 passes. You're going to go ahead and take 26, half to 13 points of damage.
Yeah.
What should have been a moment of high drama in combat.
Yeah.
Whether or not they could dodge out of the way of an explosion.
And then what happens after that, after you do all the math and stuff like that, then you narrate as a DM. Then you're like, then there's a explosion and you go flying back and your cape's on fire and blah, blah, blah. And everyone's like, oh no, I took off.
Fell flat.
Yeah.
That moment got dragged out.
With
the longer it got
the
dragged
stop
out,
and go.
the less tension it had.
Uh-huh.
Tension comes from uncertainty, and all the uncertainty was contained in the die roll.
Yep.
Instead, what we want to do is compress the mechanics, such that the moment of highest narrative uncertainty is paired exactly with the moment of highest mechanical uncertainty.
Okay.
That is, as soon as the die hits the table, that player should know whether or not they saved. The way it works at my table is something like this. You see the red marble spinning towards you and then it explodes. Go ahead and make a DC 13 dex save. I have a +3 to save. I need to roll a 10 or higher.
So he tells them the DC. I like that because I've been experimenting that with myself. Did he do that before? I don't think he. Let me let this play out.
Pass! I do this all the time. I'll have the Manticore gear up for its multi-attack. I'll ask the Rogue for her AC, and then do the math in my head. I'll say, okay, I need a 12 or better to hit, and then drop the 3d20s on the table. That way, the moment those 3d20s hit the table, everybody knows whether or not the Rogue is going down.
Okay. I have been experimenting with this on and off in my personal game, and telling people the DC and AC of things does not hurt the game at all. And it's kind of like what he was saying, that yes, you want to keep things narrative, and it's what I say. I need to take my own advice. We're playing a game with mechanics, and it's okay if some people. It's okay to be transparent about those mechanics. I think there is something nice about like hiding some of those narratives and hiding some of those things. I know my players personally, they prefer not to know the health of the enemies that they're fighting. They like not knowing the health. It makes it feel less video gamey. I think I do, however, tell them when the creature is less than half health, whenever it is bloodied, whenever, and I've noticed that's worked, even though, and I've had people ask less questions of, oh, how's this creature looking? How's this creature feeling? How's this, because it's like what he was saying at the beginning of the video. When you tell someone a creature is bloodied, they know, oh, this guy's beaten up. We've taken out half its health. Let's see, I've done about 50 damage to it. So there's about another 50 damage we could do to take it out. All right, we got this in the bag. So they're already, whether they are imaginative or not, they're figuring out in their own minds how much work they have to do. And I do get less of those questions of, oh, how's the creature looking? What's this creature looking at? Where's this creature at right now? Because they themselves, I'm assuming, or imagine, actually, one of my players is in here right now. Like, what? They can. We'll see. But yeah, they themselves are assuming, what's happening, and they don't need me to explain every single detail to them because I'm allowing their imagination to tell the story for themselves. I see. I'm gonna do this. I'm definitely gonna do this, and I'll tell you guys how it works out. I'm gonna do it today. Actually, I played D&D today with my friends. Excuse me.
And I'm not saying that running fast combat isn't important. In fact, I put a premium on it. I run combat at breakneck speed, faster than anyone I know. And the dungeon crawl I'm currently running is hardcore.
I run pretty fast combat as well.
On a grid, and I can regularly get 8 players through 3 or 4 encounters in a 2.5-3 hour session.
Yeah, me too.
Speed isn't enough.
Really quickly.
Wait, 8 players through how many encounters?
But speed isn't. The dungeon crawl I'm currently running is hardcore, deadly, tactical D&D, full minis on a grid, and I can regularly get 8 players through 3 or 4 encounters in a 2.5-3 hour session.
3 or 4
but
encounters?
Speed
Yeah.
enough.
Really quickly, here are 10 tips you can use to make your combats run faster.
Did he say 10 tips? Jeez Louise, and the audio got weird, so I think he's just putting this in real quick. All right, let's see what he has to say.
1. Remind everyone that they are a group, so they have to work together to keep things moving. Number 2.
That's fair.
Use average damage for monsters. This will speed things up tremendously.
I
Some
do
people
that
say,
100%.
oh, the players will start to metagame. I've never had that happen.
Never.
And even if
Not
they do,
once.
then you can just go back to rolling damage. Number 3. In addition to using the 1 hit point minions, try using some 2 hit point super minions. 1 hit will bloody them, and the second hit will kill them. This was going to reduce your bookkeeping.
I've never heard of this one, but I like it. I've done the 1-hit minion thing. So a lot of minions, if you never heard of it, a lot of minions, like low level stuff, they're at 11 hit points, which is super annoying because on average at low levels, players can do anywhere around 8 to 10 damage, 7 to 10 damage. It's really hard to do like above 11. And so a lot of times like bandits and things like that will still be alive after being hit once. And sometimes they can be alive after being hit 3 times. So like I will reduce enemies to like 1 hit. So I can send like just swarms of enemies at people. I've sent hundreds of enemies at my players before, and they've used AoE spells to kill them. I've never heard of super minions. Super minions is really cool. I'm going to have to take that one. I do like 1-hit minions. 1-hit minions are fun. Super minions, where they have to take 2 hits no matter what, is super cool.
Keeping as a DM by a huge amount.
Yeah.
Number 4, you have to be really, really active in keeping the group on track. Nip side talk in the bud by pulling that player's character into the scene. 5, for initiative.
Let me hear him say that again.
A huge amount. Number 4, you have to be really, really active in keeping the group on track.
Yeah.
Nip side talk in the bud by pulling that player's character into the scene.
Yeah, I do this a lot. Like my players, they'll maybe joking, because it's real easy for players to get off track. And something that players will do is they'll tell a joke about something that happened, and it will it will derail a lot of the situation. It's like, well, I only got 3 hours here, guys. I got 3 hours, and I gotta get this done. I gotta get going. I gotta go. And so what I'll do is they'll make a joke or something, and before things can get too derailed, I will have like the NPC laugh at the joke, or I'll have the NPC get insulted by the joke, even though the player will tell me, oh, I said this out of character. This wasn't me. This is Jeff speaking. This is not Broxer speaking. I will still let it be canon in game. And I only do it. I don't do it to punish the players. I only do it to get them back in the game. I let my players get sidetracked and off task all the time. But I don't... if I'm running out of time, or if I feel like this is a very crucial narrative moment, I let their silliness bleed through. But it's really just a trick for me to make sure we don't go off on a 30-minute tangent about talking about stuff.
5. For initiative, I don't do it the traditional way. I just have everyone roll, and whoever gets the highest result goes first. Then we just go around the table clockwise like we're playing any other game.
Oh. For a table perspective, I see that. I probably won't do this. One, I play on Roll20. The pandemic has kind of separated me and my party, for the most part. And then some of my party members have moved away. Not only that, when I do Project Odyssey, most of the other content creators or streamers that I play with are in different states. So I use a combat tracker. It's super easy. I don't have to put any work into it. But if you're sitting at a table, I totally understand going clockwise and doing things like this. I think there is some benefit into just getting an initiative tracker on your phone. Like there's some really simple ones that can be easily run. Easily maintained, that keep track of all that stuff. So I would look into that. There are some things that I've done where I just let the enemy go and then the players go, kind of like Fire Emblem style. I've done that sometimes, especially when I know it's just quick and I just want to get it done, just like you guys go. And then, I let them roll as a group, and then I'll just be like, you guys can choose what order you want to go into or something. And that's usually a bad thing to do, letting the players choose what order they want to go into, because then they'll just sit there because they're all trying to be so nice to each other. And they're trying to be like, oh, I don't want to go first. You go first. I'll let you go first. Oh, you go first. No, it's like, I don't know. Maybe being a DM has corrupted me, because if I was in that situation, I'm like, all right, move, motherfucker. I'm going first. But yeah, sometimes that's not the best situation. I like it. Simple initiative. Simple initiative is good, especially if you're just trying to move past something.
Monsters go into the DM's turn and then halfway across the table from the DM. Number 6. Announce the DCs of the saves and the ACs of the monsters.
This is new to me. Not entirely. I've done this from time to time. And I do like it. It doesn't hurt the game. It doesn't hurt the table. It doesn't hurt the experience or the immersion. If anything, it adds to the immersion. And I can agree with him, because the times where I tell my players what the DC and AC is of certain things, they are now putting all the worry on their dice rolls. Instead of waiting for me, they're like, oh man, do I get it? Do I get it? And like, oh, I failed. Or yes, I got, like, they immediately know. And I think he's 100% correct that it helps the flow of things.
This will stop the players from having to ask if they hit or saved every single time.
Yep.
Number 7.
Exactly.
Encourage rolling attacks and damage together, and then thank your players when they actually do it. Number 8.
So he's not against rolling attack and damage together. Okay. So yeah, I remember. I know I said earlier in the video, I also took it back. There's nothing wrong with rolling attacks and damage together. They're like, you pick up a D20, you pick up some D6s, some D4s or whatever, and you just roll. You do it super quick, you do it super fast, and it's fine. If you miss, then you just don't count the damage dice. If that could be something you could say. If you have no problem with it, if you're able to make the game flow, if your players are experienced enough to keep up with it, it's fine. Especially if you're using, like, if you're playing online, the computers are usually really fast about doing it. And players can have macros set up. I've told my players to set up macros on their Roll20. My wife has her macros set up. She literally, and especially now, if I automatically say that she knows if she hits or not. She presses one button, rolls her attack with her bonuses. She presses another button, rolls her damage with her bonuses. So makes it easy.
Don't use a timer. The players should know what they're going to do as soon as it's their turn. If they can't start their turn when it is their turn, ask if you can skip them and then come back after the next play.
Damn, I've thought about doing this, and I've done it maybe once or twice where I was like, I'll come back to you. Holy crap. This guy just straight up skips him. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try all. I'll tell you guys. I'll give you guys feedback on this. Holy, he straight up.
Don't use a timer. The players should know what they're going to do as soon as it's their turn. If they can't start their turn when it is their turn, ask if you can skip them and then come back after the next player. Number 9.
My man, dude. That's so freaking metal, man. Oh my gosh. He just says, yeah, you don't know what you're going to do? I ain't waiting on you. Skip. We'll come back to you. Skip. Holy shish kebab. Oh my gosh. I think that's fine. I think that's fine, especially if you're playing with a bunch of people that are that understand the game. If you're playing with new people, probably not so much. I would say be patient with new people. I don't think you'll see me doing this in Project Odyssey, but again, playing with content creators is really nice because they give themselves that sense of urgency. So that's super cool. That's super cool. I'm gonna do this. I don't know when I'm gonna get to do this again because I'm playing with really well people, but I'm gonna do this. I might. Oh, you know what? I have one person in my party that does take a little bit to cast spells.
Unless it's a
But
life.
again, my players don't mind waiting. We end up just talking. We're all friends, so we end up just talking at the table, chit-chatting, and just having fun with each other. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. That just like blew my mind right there. Just straight up skip somebody. Holy crap. What a baller.
Death situation, make a ruling and then tell everyone that you're going to look it up later. Next session, tell the
Yeah.
group the rules is written.
Yeah. I do this all the time. That, or you get the rule lawyer in the group to do it for you. You literally, if nobody knows what's happening, you don't have to pause the game, especially in combat. You don't have to pause the game. Just be like, I'll get back to it. Like when it's because you want to keep things flowing. This is people's times. Just do what makes sense to you and move on. I always tell my players, one of my home rules is like, we roll with the punches. I may get things wrong, but I will, we'll fix it later. It's okay. We'll be fine.
And say what you're going to do in the future. And
Yeah.
Number 10, congratulate your players often for working together to keep things running smoothly.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. Yeah, definitely show appreciation to your players. Definitely.
That's it. That's the video, folks. This was a pretty good one, I thought. I
Yeah, it
just
was a
found
good
out
video.
that subscribe doesn't really mean subscribe anymore. That's what the bell means. So do that one too. And let me know your thoughts about how to run combat in the comments below.
Yep, that was a
Probably
good
gonna
video.
do a
Oh,
whole series on pacing. The next one's probably going to be the rhythm of a session.
okay.
Hardest skill to
Whoa, I have autoplay on. Shoot. Let me go back.
narrative unknown to match us.
Okay. So I'm going to put the link of the video here for you guys. Go check it out. I'll put it in the Discord as well. Let me delete this other post that I put up. I only put that there so I could show it off in the... it's fine. I'll leave it there. All right, and I'll put... Oh. Yeah, but go check out this guy's video. I forgot I was still recording for YouTube. And until next time, YouTube, play nice.